All right, sorry about that. That is so funny. The one time that I decided to stream during my lunch break, my wife calls me and says, "Hey, you have to put the turkey in the oven." So I went and I put the turkey in the oven. So I apologize for that. Now, where was I? What was I talking about? Oh, yeah. My mini jumbo. This right here is my acoustic guitar. It is my favorite little weasel. I have elixir strings on it. I choose 10s because I don't like to push too hard on my strings, and my action is fairly low, so that's a good thing. The thing that I like about these strings is they last forever. I mean, these strings on this guitar, 6 months, and they still have a nice vibration to them, a good grind. I mean, that's just a good sound. And something else that's nice about having old used strings that still sound good is when you move your fingers up and down, you can hear the squeak. It's less than if you had brand new strings on. So if you're going to be recording in a studio and you've been having trouble with that squeak sound, you might not want brand new strings until you've practiced your piece well enough to avoid the squeak, which is kind of hard because you have to lift your fingers completely off the fret in order to avoid the squeaks. But yeah. Anywho, let's get so what you're gonna need for taking care of your little acoustic guitar is gonna be one of these spinny bobs. Spinny bobs are cool. These things help you to unwind your strings rather quickly. And you're going to need some mega snips. They could be small too. I've got this, what is this? I have an Ernie Ball kit that's got everything you could possibly need in here. I am not a sponsor of Ernie Ball. I hear everybody say that, you know, when they show something, they're like, disclaimer, I bought this just for my own stuff. It's got wrenches and screwdrivers and little wipe down pads and Allen wrenches and all that good stuff. So yeah, good stuff. I use it. Actually, the only thing I really use for my acoustic are these two things right here. And if I have to adjust the truss rod, then I'll do that as well. So that brings up a good point. When do you have to adjust your truss rod? Well, before you take the strings off your guitar, you should be listening for fret buzz. And so what I'll do is I'll go up here to the 12th string, and I'll even bend it. And if it grounds out, beep, if it does kind of that, you know you've run into some issues with either your action height or your neck straightness. And so it's always good to go through all of your strings. That's got a little buzz in there, but if you hold it down good enough, it doesn't, so it's not too big of a problem. Yeah. So yeah. Okay, so the first thing that I do, I always keep my guitar stand handy because that's the best place to do your string changing. And the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to bring it all the way down until you got nothing left. Yeah, that thing goes down to nothing. And then you got to do the other side. Now, because this doesn't have a tremolo system, you don't have to worry about it. Now, if you had an acoustic guitar with a nah, it'll never happen. If you are using a tremolo system on an electric guitar, you're going to have to block the end of it or leave one of the strings tight, change them all and leave that one string tight, and then replace them all and bring them back up to tension, and then take that one string off and replace that one, or block the back end. Otherwise, if your tremolo system grounds completely out and then you try and bring it back up again, tuning it's a real mess. All right, so then the next thing that I'll do is I'll just go through here and just start snipping these puppies right off. It's scary, isn't it? Pop those puppies off. I'll leave those ones up there. then we'll go through this spaghetti down here, and we start popping these puppies right off. Can you see that? Yeah, cool. So I just go through, start yanking these one at a time using my trusty little snips. They got a nice little angle to them so they can wedge up. Just ever so slightly pull them out. I don't think order really matters so much, although these plastic ones, they do get an indentation from the string tension. It kind of bends them out a little bit down at the bottom. Yeah. I was listening to a guitar tech talk about some things that you can do to your acoustic guitar to help seat the little beads on the end, to help seat these things a little bit better so that you get better vibration. And the way that he explained it was, you take a small, not a file, but a small saw, a little hand saw, real, probably like maybe a 3/16 or maybe a little bit less wide. And what you do is, in that hole right there, is you take your little saw and you bring it up about maybe 1/4 of an inch. You just create a slot going up. And that's okay, because if you feel underneath the saddle, these saddles are always attached to a small block of wood on the underside, so you're not really compromising anything. But what you are doing underneath this section right here is you're creating a little V underneath, so that this little seed, or this little whatever you want to call that thing, the little bead right there, can actually sit underneath and locks in there. And that kind of helps with the vibration and gives you some better tone, is what he said. I don't know, I haven't tried it. And full disclaimer, I won't do it for you, and I bear no responsibility if you accidentally cut your guitar in half. Suckers. No, he actually demonstrated it. I didn't hear an audible difference, but then again, I wasn't there playing it. All right, so now that we've got the fretboard all taken care of, now we got to go through here and clean up this mess. Now, this mess right here can be a real pain in the butt, especially the real thin wires, because when you start taking these thin wires off, they have a tendency to want to come out and snap you in the finger, and maybe even, I don't know, maim you for life, if you've ever been maimed by one of these things. But these can be pretty sharp, and I've had one inserted into my finger. Boy, you talk about a real love affair with strings I've got after that. But yeah, you just got to unwind them and pop them out. Shouldn't take too long if you snip them all up here at the nut. And if you need to, you can take some pliers and you can unwind these things. There are a couple of schools of thought on how to actually put the strings in to these little holes. And I'll kind of go over that in just a moment. But typically what I will do is I will run the wire through the hole first before winding it. And that some people are kind of like, no, you got to wind it first and then you push it through the hole, and that's how you get the best fit. Now, I've done it both ways, and I can say from my experience, it's a whole lot easier if you throw the string through the hole first. I just poked myself. And then wind it after that. But there's a way to put it through the hole first that is important, otherwise you'll drive yourself mad. And it's really not all that difficult. So, where are we on the timer? We've been live for how long? I'm not sure how long we've been at it. Maybe 5 minutes. And I'm almost done taking all the strings off. There we go. All right. So, it is at this point when you got the strings off, what you're going to want to do is wipe this disgusting neck down, because you've got finger juice and all sorts of nastiness on the fretboard. So Ernie Ball has these handy little fret wipes. I've also used just a rag with some water on it. It doesn't take much, but Here we go again. I am not sponsoring Ernie Ball. It just so happens they've got some handy wipes. I wouldn't wipe a baby's butt with it, but you can do a fretboard. And again, what we're trying to do is just clean it up, make it look nice, you know? I mean, if you're going to be videoing yourself playing the guitar, you want nice sparkly frets, right? So you can already see how disgusting that's getting. 6 months of playing. I play this thing every day. And the stuff that's on this fretboard, pretty scary stuff. Pretty scary stuff. Alright, so here we go. Just take all the dust off it. I've also been doing some construction in the house, and so as you can see, I've got this complete mess behind me. But part of that mess is, what shall I say, part of the mess is dust. Just a ton of dust. At one point, this entire guitar was like white from all the dust. I was sanding down, some drywall. And that stuff carries when you don't put a curtain up, and I did not put a curtain up like the impatient person that I am. They say that preparation takes 90% of the time, and then you do the work. Well, sometimes I do the work, and then I prepare afterwards, or clean up. I think I've learned my lesson. I'd like to think that I have. Okay. So I'm not going to go overboard because I don't plan on doing any concerts anytime soon. I don't need anything too absolutely beautiful, but the hard to get spots with the dust, you may as well go ahead and do that while you got the strings off. And then we go to the fun part. And that is stringing this bad boy. So what I will do is I will start with it doesn't really matter. You can go top down or bottom up. I think I'm going to go with the 47s. They said these are going to be my big fatty strings, and I will work my way down the neck. So, let's see here. First thing you're going to want to do is take a look at the holes up here. And what you want is all of your holes to be pointed that way, straight across. So you're going to line these things up so that you can pretty much know where the holes are lined up. So this one is going straight through just like that, and then I'll do the same thing for this one over here. Could use my little windy tool, I suppose. But get them fairly straight. And I'll do the same thing on this side over here, being very careful not to damage your guitar. You don't want to knock any innocent children over with your guitar while you're lining up these holes. There we go. And this one right here is lined up. Now what the good thing about setting these things up first is now you don't have to look for the stupid hole, because like me, I have to wear reading glasses or glasses when I do this kind of stuff. And if you don't know where the hole's at and you're sitting here, trying to poke a string through there, and then you get, where'd that thing go? If you know it's always straight, then you don't really have an issue going forward. So now what we got to do, got to unwind it, being very careful not to poke yourself in the eye. You throw in the seed. Now you got to know which way you're playing, right? If you are like me, right-handed, then your big fatty string goes on top, and so you may as well just pop it in. Grab one of these pegs here, line up the groove, and what I do is I try and get that thing to come up and meet the bottom. What happens sometimes is if you go too quick, what'll happen is when you're pushing this thing in, let's see if I can get that lined up there, this thing actually gets stuck down here at the bottom. But really what you want is for this thing to make its way all the way up to the top so that it sits underneath about like that. But sometimes if you go too quick, when you push these both down into the hole, so you can get that lined up right there, this thing actually gets attached down here and sticks at the bottom. So you got to get past that little hump. So we'll throw this thing down, put it in, and then I try and pull it up just a little bit just so that I know that it's seating well. I'll throw it in. Now for the fun part, putting it through the hole. So on these, what you're always going to be doing, at least on this particular guitar neck style, when you've got the pegs on either side, you want the strings to go out on either side, right? So this side over here, the strings are going to go up the middle and out, and then on this side, they're going to go up the middle and out. So I'm hitting the first one right here. So what I'll do is I'll take this and I will try to string it through. Go ahead and pull it most of the way through. Like, yay. So there we go. Now what you do is you take about 3 fingers worth, just like that, and you push it back through, just like that, right? So now we got a little bit of play. Now what we do is we take this end right here and we bend it up. We'll be bending it up all the way around. And this side down here, you're gonna bend it down. So what does that create? It creates an S, or a zigzag, a Z. And what that does is that locks this string in place. The string is not going anywhere, right? So you can pull up and you can pull down. Now this is where having good calluses on your fingers come in handy, because now what we're gonna do is right here, I hope you can see that okay. I'm going to be holding this thing down, so while I'm turning this, I'm going to be seating this string right here. Let's see if I can get that up here. Get us up close, just like that. So what's happening here is that as this string is winding down, I'm going to try and keep this thing winding down, down, down. I don't want it to wind up over the top of the string. I want to try and tuck this string so you get a nice even wind underneath where the string is. And to do that, you kind of have to guide it with your finger. And so what I'll do here is get us in line here is I'll just keep my finger there and I will keep winding, and then I'll take my thumb and I'll lift the string up so that it pops over the top of my finger. There she blows. You keep winding, winding. I just kept saying winding, winding, didn't I? Just keep going. So typically you don't want more than 3 winds. If you can avoid having a whole bunch of winds, you want like maybe 2 winds, maybe 3 on the fat wire. The fattest wire, the most you want is 3 wind, because it's such a big string, it gets clumpy. So there we go. And so I'll just go ahead and get it up to there. Now what I'll do is I will take a snip right here, about 3 fingers up. I will snip it, and then I will take this wire and I will put a crimp in it going backwards, just like that, and just bend it so that you got a nice little hook on the end. So what that does is prevents you from poking your eyeball out. When you hand your guitar to somebody else, they don't grab it and impale themselves. Oh, my hand, right? And then the leftover strings, just wind it and toss it. Or, you know, if you want to make a ring out of it, I suppose you could do that. Waste not, want not, right? So you just rinse and repeat. So I always keep these in order: 39, 30, 23, 14, 10. So the next one up, I just grab, rinse and repeat. And we'll do this all the way up the neck. So cool, yeah. Currently have nobody watching, so that's cool. I was gonna have a conversation with you, but since it's just me, I'm okay. I'm a loner. Do this stuff all the time on my own. You kind of get a feel for it. So with that locked in place, we come right up here and do the same thing. So what do I have going on? I got my daughter visiting from Colorado. I live in California, and my daughter is up here visiting for Christmas. And we are going to be celebrating Christmas 1 week early because it's impossible for anybody to travel during the middle of a holiday. So we're doing our holiday a little earlier, and it's also easier to get off work. There we go. Take a quick snip. Being very careful not to cut your finger off. We'll bend that up just to get it out of the way. There is that. Yeah. We'll finish that later, and we go on to the next string. So we're not doing so bad here, right? You can see how quick these things change. Really doesn't take much. Just takes a little bit of patience and elbow juice. Put this puppy down. So one of the things that I like to talk about, I don't hear enough people talking about this, and that is whether or not music theory versus just playing, you know, what is the role for each of those? It's getting hot in here. I'm turning off my air conditioner unit.
Reply to drug addict.
I got Discord running. You probably heard that. Drone addict. Let me go ahead and bow out. Yeah. So one of the topics that comes up from time to time is, okay, what is the role and place of music theory? So I just did 3 fingers worth right there, bend down and bend up. And when is it appropriate? And does learning theory, music theory, really help you become a better musician? Well, I guess that really depends on what you mean by better musician. So naturally, theory is not going to help you with how it is that you place your fingers on a fretboard. It's not going to help you in terms of how strong your fingers are. It's not going to help you in terms of what you play unless you are very, very extremely methodical and you map out every single thing you're going to do, and then you feel like you have to have some sort of theoretical reason for doing what you're doing, right? The way that I look at music theory is it is a great tool in 2, maybe 3 situations. If you plan to be a studio session player, then I would say that music theory is very, very good, because music theory is a device for communicating with one another what music is about, right? If you have an idea for a song and you want to convey what that is so that somebody else can actually play it, because you've hired them to do it and you're going to be the session player, you want to understand where it is they're going. Or if you've been hired to help somebody write a song and you in turn hire another musician to come along, that's, you know, you're going to be conveying in one of several ways. Maybe it's tabulature, or maybe it's actual sheet music. Understanding you know, the different kinds of chords is good, but when what it boils down to is I consider theory to be a good way to learn the different types of music that are out there. So music theory boils down to studying what others have done, understanding you know, the mechanics of how they did what they did, why things might sound one way versus another. So it's a good exploratory medium. It's how you get introduced to new sounds and introduced to new styles and genres of music. I say genres instead of genre. I don't know what the appropriate term for that is. But when it comes to just playing and writing music, I mean, a lot of really famous players, they don't know a lick about music theory. And so, that kind of begs the question, okay, so what was all that music theory for? I mean, can you actually theorize on the spot while it is that you're playing? I don't know many people who can do that. As a matter of fact, I know nobody who can do that. So let's say that you're up on stage and you're going to do a solo and you're going to be ripping out, 30 notes, 60 notes per minute or whatever, in a nice blazing solo. You're not sitting there going, okay, should I be doing Dorian over Mixolydian, with a suspended second? And I mean, you're just not thinking in those terms. So theory is not really going to help you when you are, on the spot trying to perform. But before you actually do your performance, it can be helpful in helping you to understand what it is you're playing and kind of the parameters. Like, okay, where, in what key am I going to be doing the solo? And when you know what key, then you kind of know where on the neck you're going to be doing your paths and whatnot. So I view music theory is more of an educational tool, a preparation tool, a tool for kind of getting down the parameters of what you're going to be playing. But really what it boils down to, especially if you're going to be creating your own music, is what sounds good to your ear, and how do you convey what you think up here in your mind down to your hands so that your hands can play it. And my theory on that is pretty rudimentary. It's pretty, how shall I say, caveman-ish, right? And whenever I'm talking to friends about music, kind of my approach, the way that I handle my approach to music and songwriting is that, well, I always come from the standpoint of, well, how did you learn how to speak when you were a child? So when you first learned how to speak as a child, you had to go through all the rigors of paying attention to how it is that you made the sounds. If you were going to make an S sound, sit down, you had to concentrate on, okay, how do I form the words and what muscles do I use? And then by the time that you're 4 years old, all of a sudden, you find that it's really easy to form the S's because you've been doing it for 2 years, right? So 2 years have passed, and now you don't think so much about how it is that you form the S. But now what you're doing is you're concentrating on the words that you want to use, and as you start to, as you start to express yourself, you're thinking less and less about the mechanics of how to do it, and you start paying more attention to what it is that you want to say. And it's the same, right? You're no longer forming things with your mouth and your vocal cords. You're forming things in your mind, and your motor skills have been built up over the years, 5 years, 10 years of constant practice speaking. And now all of a sudden, you don't even think about forming the words. You think about the words, and your mouth just automatically forms them. Well, the same thing with your hands, right? Your hands are just an extension. They're just a muscle group. And if you practice on a regular basis, but it's more than just, you have to consciously divorce yourself from what your hands are doing. And what that means is, as part of your practice routine, really what you have to do is, when you are learning a song, it's okay to look at the fretboard and it's okay to look at your hands to try and get your positions down. But as you start to learn the song, what you want to start doing is, as you progress through your memorizing, is stop paying attention to your hands and take your eyes completely off the fretboard. As a matter of fact, play in a dark room. My students, I always tell them, don't look at your hands and don't think about what note you want to play. Instead, start to transition your mind from, okay, what note do I need to reach for? Start transitioning your mind to, okay, what note do I want to hear? This is the note that I want to hear next. And what you want to do is try and get your hand to reach that note that you're expecting to hear. And that's the lifelong training that you want to go through. You constantly want to be teaching your mind to tell your hand to reach for a note that you're thinking, right? Hey, Russell and Lee, there you go. I didn't even see you guys drop in. I'm just talking to myself here. So, really, what you want to do, I think, I mean, it's my personal opinion, of course, is you want to train your mind to treat your hands just like your mind treats your vocal cords. And the only way to do that is to stop paying attention to what your vocal cords are doing, stop paying attention to what your hands are doing, and start paying attention to what you want to hear next. Train your hands to go there and do that. How long ago was it? I want to say it was probably 25 years ago. I'm dating myself here. I was down in San Francisco, over San Francisco, Pier 39, and there's a guy there, completely blind. He did not play a 6-string. He played with both hands, a 12-string, a 15-string. I mean, it almost looked like a harp, but with a fretboard. The guy never looked at his hands. And you could tell he was concentrating on the music. He wasn't concentrating on his hands. And this guy, I don't know how long he was blind for, but part of kind of his expression was through his hands. Just like part of a singer's expression is through their vocal cords. So that's my take. You know, I'm pretty hard-headed when it comes to that kind of stuff. Okay, so for those of you who is here, Russell and hey, what's up, Hardman Studios? Russell and Lee. Cool. Do we get to stay for lunch too? Yeah, sure. Hang out. What I'm doing, and I guess you can revisit this video if you want, is I'm going through how it is that I wire my guitar. So this is my mini jumbo. Just a little recap here, and went over kind of how it is that I go about stringing my guitar. I can get it done in like maybe 5 minutes tops. Really not that hard once you get it down. But some safety features that I do is I'll crimp the ends of the wires. That way you're not poking yourself. It gets it out of the way for the next wire. And I also feed my strings through the hole first. You'll see, can't really see that there, but I always line up all of my pegs with the hole going straight through that way. And then from the inside out, what I'll do is I'll shoot my wire through the hole. So I'll hole it first instead of wind it first and then try to find the hole. I go through the hole first. But the caveat that you have to do when you do that is you have to give yourself some wind room. You can't just shove it through the hole real tight and then start winding it, because then you'll break your string. You want to get at least 2 or 3 winds through the shaft or around the shaft before you go and tighten it. Otherwise, you're just going to destroy your string. So what I do is I'll pull it through, and as a good gauge for the thin wires, I'll take 4 fingers worth. You can see in 4 fingers worth, I'll grab it and I'll feed it back through the hole. And then what I'll do is the inside, I'll bend it down, and this other side, I'll crimp it up. And what that does is that locks the string in place so it's not going anywhere. And then I'll take my super windy tool and I will guide this bottom wire underneath this wire as it spins, and I'm guiding this so that like a spindle, it's spindling down towards the base. I'll take this and I'll start winding it. I'll use my thumb, I don't know if you can see my thumb there, to pop that string up over the top of my finger. And I will just keep her going, keep her going, keep her going until we get about maybe 4 winds on the small strings, no more than 3 winds on the big string. So I'll use about 3 fingers, sometimes 2.5. You just kind of get used to it. I'm using 10s, I'm using elixirs, so they aren't especially thick strings. They would consider these light strings. I think 9s are ultra light or light, and then 8s are like ultra mega light. They're kind of for the touch impaired. I can't play 8s. I feel like they're going to break every time I strum them, so I don't do that. Yeah, so then you get them all kind of up to tension. Make sure they're all seated correctly right in here. And now you've got this big, humongous, disgusting, terrible sounding thing. So now the next thing you got to do is you got to stretch these things. You got to stretch them good. Otherwise, after you tune them up, they're going to tune back down again. So what I do is I put a finger underneath there, and I start reaming that sucker like crazy. Yeehaw! I'm going to go on to the next one. And I'll do the next one. Now these things, when you get them up to tension, they're about 40 pounds or so. So they shouldn't snap on you, so give them a good tug. And then, oops, I forgot to snip this. I don't want to kill myself. These thin ones are terrible. You can really impale yourself. Yeah, beautiful sound. You want to hear a real beautiful sound. Stick one of these strings through your finger. Ah! I've done that once or twice. So now they're all safe. You can hand your guitar to somebody and not impale them completely. All right, so now what we'll do, I'm going to go ahead and start bringing these things up. Just get it in the ballpark. Now this is where having perfect pitch would come in handy. I do not have perfect pitch. I have relative pitch. I have good relative pitch. So. And after doing these, go away. So I just get it in the ballpark. I completely flubbed that one. I can usually do it, but not when people are looking. I'm gonna go ahead and get my guitar tuna out. What do we got here? Smash that like button, ladies. Super K, CK Superfan has arrived. Sheila! I have good relative pitch too. Yeah, that's the thing, I can do relative pitch. I hear these like little toddler. Actually, okay, so perfect pitch used to be very, very common. Now, not so much, I think. But for me, perfect pitch, I think, would drive me crazy, because if I had to listen to some of these old 70s recordings where they're like off, where they purposefully, tune flat or whatever, that would absolutely kill me. So again, one of the good reasons for stretching out your strings is so that you can minimize. Yeah, I know, close enough, right? So you can minimize the disaster. How do you like Guitar Tuna so far? I don't know. What do you think? Should I give him like a thumbs up? How do you like Guitar Tuna? I'll give him a happy face. They do good stuff. I forget how much I paid. Probably $1.99. But that won't dismiss. All right. So now what I do is I go back and hope it doesn't break. Hey, it went down like a whole half step, right? Do you? So this is kind of funny. They actually sell a tool. I've seen it online. It's like a little plastic hook or something, and you basically put it under the string, and you do that, and it's supposed to do exactly what I'm doing. It's like, if you play enough, you should have calluses, and this shouldn't be an issue. So just get in there and use your fingers to do it. Whatever, right? So. So now the real question is, does it sound better than before I changed them? It's really difficult to answer that question because it was at least 20 minutes ago since I played my old strings. What do you do with that, right? Yeah, Guitar Tuna is a really good one. It's awesome. The good folks at Guitar Tuna, they just updated their app. Another good app that's really good, I don't know if you've seen this one or not, it's called Tempo. Go figure, right? It's no thanks. But it's got a good interface, so if you need, let's see if I can get that up there. Too bright. Ah, there we go. And it's called Tempo. Yeah, so you can preset, yeah, it's really bright. You can set yourself up with some practice routines. You can just kind of hang out and listen to that. I can listen to this thing all day long, and sometimes I do, just because I'm weird that way. Huxley died, and Mama believed every man could be free, so Mama got high. This is a song that I'm trying to learn. I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna throw down some drum beats to that. I think it's 6/8 and maybe a bass, and I'll just go ahead and do a live acoustic version and then overdub myself playing instruments around the live acoustic version. What do you think of that? The mic is, what are you? It's a K47. So that is, yeah. It's our Roswell. So it's our Alien folks. It's a pretty good mic. I found this mic watching one of Warren's videos. So he was doing a little thing on how it is that you mic guitars, and he was going through a couple of different mics. And he did that one, and that one was in my price range, and so I tried it out. I went ahead and bought it because I needed to have another one. Love 6/8. Yeah, 6/8 is a good one. So, yeah, I got it, and I liked it so much, I decided to use it for my vocal mic. Yeah, but not for live, not for live stuff. All right, see ya, Russell. Thanks for hanging out. Yeah, my current setup right now is, at least for the performances that I'm recording as kind of a test vehicle for what life is going to be like when I start performing live again, is I'm using using a Slate ML2 right here for my acoustic. So when I stand up and record, I'm using that for the acoustic guitar. And then up here, I've got my Sennheiser. It's an E45. And is it plugged in? I don't even know if it's plugged in or not. Testing 1, 2, 3. It is not. Well, maybe it is. I don't know. But yeah, this was my stage mic for I don't know how long. Probably 6 years. So doesn't smell like smoke. That's a good thing. I used to smoke, so. Yeah, but I use this. I figure if I'm going to be, recording live and doing all that good stuff, I may as well use a mic that I always use. That way I don't have to go out and buy another mic just to perform when I already have a mic that I've been performing. Yeah. Something like that. It's plugged in. It's plugged in. Testing 1, 2, 3. Plugged in. Oh, okay, thanks. So I'm making all this noise. You probably couldn't hear a thing I said, huh? All right, close your ears. There we go. All right, so anyways, thanks for hanging out. I think that's basically it. You can rewind and get my take on a couple of different things if you like. I don't know. Do I have multiple mics running into OBS at once when you're streaming? Right now I do. But that was by accident. I forgot to turn the volume down on that one. That's this mic behind. So if you hear something right now, you might be hearing this mic way back here. But I've been just using this one right here, the my little Roswell, my little alien microphone here, the mini K47. And that picks up the acoustic in my voice just fine, I think. So. But I have the Focusrite 2i2, so I only have 2 inputs. So I have to be careful about what I plug in because I'm limited to only 2 inputs. So for my live videos that I have been doing where I've been playing the guitar, I'll have the Slate and the Sennheiser in there, and this one right here will be disconnected. It's not plugged in at all. And then when I go back and I have to do a Zoom or whatever, I have to physically unplug it and put this mic back in and hopefully mute that one. I don't know. I'm lazy. So hope that answered that question. Oh yeah, so my daughter is in town from Colorado. So she drove out here. She showed up at 12:30 last night. I was sound asleep, and all of a sudden I look up and she's staring at me. I'm like, hi, Papa, I'm in town. So we're going to be celebrating Christmas early. It's easy to get time off work when it's not Christmas. So we're doing it a week early. And so, yeah, we're going to have food this evening. So everybody's here, and I'm going to exit stage left and go grab food. I will, Sheila. Thank you so much. She'll be thrilled that she has an audience she doesn't even know about. But she will soon when I tell her. So, anyways, I'm going to go ahead and bail out. Good talking to you, and I will see you guys in PLAP chat, maybe Zoom too, depends on how things go. All right? Have a great day. Ciao. Now, how do I turn this thing off?